and they were in charge of giving out the food. So, of course, when we got there, we would get extra, whatever there was.
As the months go slowly by, in September of 1944, we notice that Auschwitz begins to empty out. Our cousins are taken to work in a factory, and so we are sad to see them go. As the barracks residents dwindle, it makes our exit more urgent. Now there are less people to hide among. We are at risk of being noticed. I am getting stronger and less skeletal, so I urge my sisters to try selection with me again, but I am labeled as a Mussulman and sent to the gas chamber line. Musulman.
Not muscles.
Okay.
Musulman.
Musulman.
Which is skin and bone.
Skin and bones. Musulman. At least I can get out of line now on my own and head back to the barrack. I do this repeatedly enough that we decide I can no longer go through the selection process at all. Sooner or later, though, I will be caught sneaking away from the line and shot. There has to be another way. We have to get out of here, repeats over and over in my mind. I know we cannot give up because I have hope. I always remember what my father told me. Stay together because your chances of survival will be much better. It is not easy to keep hope alive when we are in camp. Giving up seems easier. And we see many who do give up and end up on the electric fencing. There are a few good rumors that help us have hope. Women gather in the bathroom to hear the latest rumor that the Americans or Russians may liberate us. The hope that we will reunite with Tata and Fischl keeps us alive. Even with this hope, it is hard to continue believing in something. We all question our faith in God. How could God allow this to happen? Following the Jewish laws got us nowhere. One day in 1944, the SS officers arrive at the barracks announcing they need 300 women to go to a German factory in Freudenthal. Freudenthal? Freudenthal. This is the day that Yuki, Hayusara, and I will be chosen. I know it. As we are getting up to the line, as we are preparing to line up, I look at my sisters and tell them, go get selected and save me a place in line. I will find a way to sneak into the group. Hayusara and Yuki both look worried, but go out in the front door and get selected. I must find a way to get in line without being detected. Meanwhile, I am working feverishly to come up with a plan to join them. Our barracks are always guarded by capos no matter what. My heart races so loudly that I wonder if others can hear it as I try to figure out what to do. I don't have much time. I must think fast. I watch a woman who gives out food from our kitchen as she exits the back of the barrack. Suddenly, I find myself running as fast as I can down the long hallway of the barrack toward the back door. The female capo guarding the door raises her hand to stop me. My heart is beating hard in my chest as she looks at me. You can't go out this door. You have to go out that way to be selected for work, she says, pointing in the opposite direction. I don't want to go to work, I say, shaking my head. My mother has just gone out that door and I need to go with her, as I point to the door behind her. The seconds that pass before she responds feel like hours. I continue to reach toward the door, imploring her to help me. Somehow, the capo takes pity on me and lets me out the door. I scan the area for guards as I sneak around the building to join my sisters in line. There are enough people moving about that no one sees me enter the group. I can see my sisters and they have a spot for me to slide into. I feel a sense of freedom for the first time in a long time. Suddenly I know I am strong and brave. It is as though an angel is looking after me, I think, as I look upward. Maybe it's my mother who helps me out of this terrible situation. Maybe things will get better for us now. I make eye contact with Hayusara. She has sheer joy on her face as I approach. She elbows Yuki to indicate that I am on my way over. As I enter the line, Yuki immediately grabs my arm and squeezes it so tight. All of us are frightened and excited at the same time. Hayusara and Yuki are relieved that I am with them and even a little surprised that I made it. I can see the questions on their faces, but silently indicate we can't talk about it now. I will explain how I did this later when we are alone. The three of us try to act calm so no one will notice that I am not supposed to be in line. I feel their hands as tight as I can, so tight that I can't feel my own fingers. We have to celebrate internally, and happiness springs up inside me. Hope and fear are at war within me. Before leaving the camp for the factory, we need to go through a cleaning process. We know we all smell. I remember when I first came to camp, I smelled a sour, pungent odor everywhere on everyone. I guess I've smelled it for so long now that I don't notice it anymore, but you can always see the revulsion on the faces of new prisoners when they arrive. It is the stench of death on living bodies. I can see the dirt in the lines on people's faces. Our hands don't come clean when we rinse them. The hair that grew back in the last 4 months is stuck to our heads and has a foul odor. It is clear to me that we are not supposed to have been here this long. But now that time will end if I can make it through the cleaning without being labeled a Muslim. So once again, talking about your courage to do that.
It was unbelievable. How this all came to me, how I did it, I don't remember, but I did it. The main thing was to get out of there, and sometimes you have to do all kinds of things, okay, to get where you want to go. And also, you should never give up hope. Without hope, you're lost. So whenever anybody's in trouble, they have to remember that things will get better. And that's how we survived, the three of us.
You guys get cleaned up. They shave you again. They delouse you.
Right. Well, we were full of lice. We didn't have cleaning in 4 months. Can you imagine?
No.
Not having a cleaning in 4 months. Actually, I took my dress off a couple of times in the summer. Because, we were also lucky that we were there in the summer, not in the winter. If we would have been there in the winter, we would have frozen to death. So we were there in summer, and so I would take my dress off and wash it. There was no soap, no nothing. And let it dry and then put it back on. So.
You say, hey, after you get deloused and cleaned, you say this, finally we are given decent street clothes to wear. It is the first time in 4 months I've changed my clothes. One of the women pins a piece of paper with a number on it to my dress. She tells me that this will be my number that identifies me from now on. They've taken away my name. I am no longer Rosie or even a Schwartz. Now I am just a number. A25893.
Yeah. See it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of the survivors after the war, they had it taken off. But in the 50s, surgery wasn't like today. They would always have a mark on their arms. Never do their, so. And it never even occurred to me to do that. And when my kids were little, they would ask me what it is. I would tell them it's my telephone number.
Okay. They process you now and get you loaded onto a truck that drives you guys out of the camp. And you say, as we pass through the gates, I feel an incredible weight lifted off my shoulders. This is truly a moment to remember. I know that my life may not be easier at the work factory, but at least we are alive. We are scared and weak, but we have left the hell of Auschwitz behind us.
Right.
At the factory, they provide us with more decent street clothes similar to what I previously owned. The building is so cold, so we go to bed fully dressed. Even our blankets are not enough to keep us warm, but at least we have blankets. The building has a musty odor, but I have my own bed with a mattress, sheets, blanket, and pillow. We are allowed to access bathrooms at night. We can even get a shower with soap, and you're even given clean clothes once a week. The showers and bathroom are just down the hall. Compared to the hell of Auschwitz, this feels like heaven. So this is your new location.
Right.
And it really is.
It is.
This is what you've been striving for.
Absolutely.
To get into one of these work camps.
Yes.
Did you know that the work camp was better living, or were you just knowing that anything is better than Auschwitz?
We didn't know, but anything was better than Auschwitz. Okay? I don't think there could be anything worse than Auschwitz.
On our first day of work, the numbers that were pinned to our clothes are tattooed onto our left forearms. I know that I should feel pain, but I don't, as I watch them scratch the needle across my skin. In my mind, I am thinking about the law that Jews may not make any cuttings or print any marks on their bodies. How will God take this new development? I'm not in any position to resist the permanent tattoo that reminds me every single day that I am not free. A25893 is emblazoned for the world to see every time I reach my hand out to touch my sister or grab a piece of machinery. Each day as we leave the factory, we show our tattoo, which confirms that we are Jews who belong in the camp and not one of the free citizens that goes home at night. So when you're working this camp, there's actually regular civilians that are working there.
Right.
Germans? Are they Germans?
Germans, absolutely. And mostly women, because all the men were in the military.
Fighting.
Yes.
You say this, sometimes the German lady who works next to me brings me an apple.
Yes.
It is a big risk for her to offer me any special treatment because she could be labeled as a Jewish sympathizer and be taken to jail or shot. It is also a risk for me because I can be labeled a thief. There are no apples given to Jews here, so how would I get one? It would be up to a guard to decide my fate if I were caught with an apple. We are very careful that no one of authority is around when she hands me the apple. I think she realizes how hard our lives are and feels a bit sorry for me. It is so good to see the humanity in some people because we have lived for months, and some of us for years, surrounded by inhuman and savage guards every day. We have been treated as though we are not human. So this is like the first sympathetic person.
Right. She was very nice.
Did you have conversations with her? You talked to her?
We would not have conversations, not too much, no, because we were both working at different things.
But she
would bring an extra piece of something sometime, an apple or a fruit, or even though compared to Auschwitz, this was like heaven. Okay.
Yuki was in an area working on ammunition.
It's Yutka.
Yutka. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Yutka.
Yutka. Uh-huh.
Yutka. Well, how am I doing with Hayusara? Bad. How do you say Hayusara?
Hayusara.
Hayusara.
That's a Yiddish name.
Hayusara. Helen.
Helen. Her English name was Helen. Or in Czech, it was Helenka.
Okay. I need to stick with one. She's sewing. Yutka.
Yes.
Is working on ammunition, and you're working on gas masks,
right.
Inspecting gas masks,
right.
Which is obviously a hard thing because you're thinking that these gas masks are for German soldiers. It's going to save the lives of German soldiers.
Absolutely, absolutely. But we had no choice. I would sit on a high chair and then have to pick up the gas mask, look inside it, and put it down, up and down, 12 hours every day or so. And Judy, my sister Judy and my sister Helen, one of them worked on uniforms and one of them worked on guns. We were all in different areas. It was a big factory over there.
You know, this idea that you had of sticking together, of being a family and how that increases your chances for survival. As I read that, it seemed a little bit counterintuitive to me because I always think, well, if I just have to take care of myself, it seems like you'd be able to make more things happen as opposed to you're looking out for other people. Mm-hmm. But what I failed to realize and what I think is that because you're sticking together, you're looking out for each other. You're keeping, maybe you give a little bit of extra bread, you share some bread.
Absolutely.
So you're able to take care of each other. And people that went by themselves had less of a chance of survival.
Absolutely. A lot of women that came there to our camp that were alone, I would say most of them didn't make it. Being alone is so hard. But when you are with sisters, at least you have more hope to survive.
You say here, I'm always afraid that if I attract the attention of the guards, they will realize I'm too skinny to work and will kill me. Then who will help my sisters stay together? I have to stay alive and do as Tata said. After a month at the factory, I gather the courage to speak to the person in charge. I take a deep breath before approaching the intimidating officer. My hands shake as he looks down at me. I am still very short for my 14 years, and with no heels or hair to help me seem taller, I am sure I look like a younger child. This is hard work, I say, shocked at how confident my voice sounds. Because my hands are shaking, I press them into my sides, hoping you won't notice. I should get an extra meal to conserve my strength. To my utter surprise, the officer allows me an extra meal each day.
Yes, she did. I would take it to the living quarters, and I would share it with my sisters.
Over time, my sisters and I realized that the German doctors in white coats conduct experiments on the prisoners. I don't remember